Someone is at their kitchen table, staring at $656,000, credit cards, a mortgage, and car loans. And their honest coping mechanism is my mom said, "I'll be okay." That is not a punchline. That is a real person. And the scariest part isn't the debt. It is that they did everything they were taught to do. They compared prices. They waited for sales. They negotiated at the dealership. They genuinely believed that being a careful shopper meant being good with money. That belief is the lie that is quietly bankrupting you. Look at those numbers again. These aren't impulsive people. These are the researchers, the spreadsheet builders, the ones who spent weekends test driving before they signed anything. And they're still drowning because the entire system they use is rotten at the root. Hunting for a better price on something you have no business buying isn't intelligence. It is performance. It is measuring how neatly you folded the napkins while the kitchen burned down behind you. $47,000 is what a $30,000 car actually costs you after 6 years of financing. Sit with that for a second. You walked into the dealership thinking you were spending 30 grand. You drove out owing 47. That extra 17,000 didn't buy you heated seats or a better engine. It bought the bank a vacation home, and you never even noticed because nobody handed you a receipt for the full amount. They handed you a monthly payment of $500. That number felt manageable. It fit inside your paycheck. So you signed. Now, here is where it gets vicious. You didn't just sign up for a car. You signed up for a mindset, because that same logic infected every other financial decision you made. You stopped asking what things actually cost and started asking what you could get away with per month. So the student loans sat there at $200 a month. The credit cards piled up to $300 a month, and none of those numbers on their own felt dangerous. But stack them. 500 plus 200 plus 300. That is $1,000 walking out of your life every single month. Before you've bought groceries, before you've paid rent, before your kid needs new shoes. $1,000 a month in payments for things losing value while you sleep. Meanwhile, 64% around you can't cover a single $1,000 emergency. Think about that collision. You're bleeding $1,000 a month in debt service, and you lack a $1,000 cushion if your transmission dies on a Tuesday. This isn't bad luck. This is arithmetic. The monthly payment was never designed to help you afford things. It was designed to hide what things actually cost. Every time you asked if you could swing the payment instead of the real price, you were doing exactly what the financing machine needed you. You were looking at the drip and ignoring the flood. Picture someone at their kitchen table, surrounded by everything they own. A financed car in the driveway, a mortgaged house around them, a phone on a payment plan in their pocket. Now, picture the bank's ledger. Every one of those items sits as an asset on their books. Not yours. You're listed on a different line entirely. You're the revenue stream. That is the split nobody talks about. There are two kinds of people in the financial system, and it has nothing to do with how hard you work. There are people who own things and people who make payments on things. The distance between those two groups isn't income. It is understanding who actually holds the title. Consider that $1,000 a month going out in minimum payments. Over a decade, you hand over $120,000. But if that same money had gone into an index fund, returning 8%, you would be looking at $180,000. The gap between what you paid and what you could have built It isn't just a rounding error. It is a house deposit. It is a decade of freedom, and it landed in someone else's portfolio. Stitch those manageable payments together, and you'll find your total obligations exceed what you earn. You don't have a spending problem. You have an ownership problem. You own nothing. You rent everything from lenders and pay a premium for the privilege. Most millionaires drive used cars, not because they enjoy old upholstery, but because they refuse to park depreciating metal in their driveway. When that capital could compound elsewhere, they never ask if they can afford the payment. They ask if this dollar right now is deployed at its highest value. If not, the wallet stays shut. Every purchase either saves money or makes money. Everything else waits. So picture the version of you 2 years from now, holding cash in your hand, walking into a store for something you decided you wanted back in 2024. No financing, no monthly payment, no interest. You hand over the money, you walk out, and that thing is yours. Not the banks, not the credit card companies. It is yours. That feeling alone is worth more than anything you've ever panic bought on a Tuesday night at 2 a.m. because an ad said, "The sale ends tomorrow." But here is the part nobody talks about. Most people never make it to that store. Not because they can't wait, but because somewhere around month 4, they completely forget they ever wanted the thing in the first place. That is the real power of what I'm about to give you. And it is almost embarrassingly simple. You need a piece of paper, not an app, not a spreadsheet, just a plain, boring piece of paper. Every time you feel the pull to buy something that isn't keeping you alive or making you money, you write it down. The item, the price, today's date, and then you write a second date exactly 24 months out. That is it. You fold the paper, stick it in a drawer, and walk away. No negotiating with yourself. No. But this one is different. You write it down, and you shut the drawer. Now, your brain is going to scream at you. Every ad you see, every limited time offer countdown clock, every friend who just got the new thing, all of it is engineered to make waiting feel like losing. That urgency you feel in your chest when you see only 3 left in stock is not instinct. It is training. You've been conditioned to believe that hesitation costs you money, when the truth is, hesitation is the only thing standing between you and more debt. On a statement you're already afraid to open. There are exactly 3 reasons to break this rule. Your car dies, and you need to get to work tomorrow. Something you buy will directly generate income, or keeping the old version is bleeding more cash in repairs than replacing it. That is the whole list. Everything else is a want, wearing a needs clothing. And if you're honest, really honest, you already know which category most of your purchases fall into. Here is the test that strips away every excuse. If you cannot afford to buy it twice with money you already have, you cannot afford it once. Now, think about the last big thing you bought. Could you have bought 2 of them? Cash? No flinch? If the answer makes your stomach tighten, you already know what that purchase actually cost you. That is the only honest promise. Not a beach retirement. Not financial freedom overnight. Just enough of a buffer to stop making decisions out of desperation. Because desperate people sign terrible loans and finance depreciating cars at 7% and call it normal. You don't need to become a genius with money. You just need enough room to say no and walk away from a bad deal without your stomach dropping. If this approach doesn't fit your life, You lose nothing. You kept your money instead of spending it. That is the exit clause, built right in. Now tell me in the comments. Be specific. What is the one thing sitting in your house right now that you wish you could return and convert straight back into cash?